I secretly loved my childhood friend for 10 years. After a reckless one-night stand, he hated me for another 10 years, until a car accident took my life, and he finally got what he wanted, to be with the one he truly loved. When I opened my eyes again, it was that ambiguous drunken night all over. I packed my things and ran away, but I heard that Sam, who had been proud all his life, turned Huai City upside down, searching for his little childhood sweetheart. Chapter 1. I was reborn. Outside, neon lights flickered. Inside, the air was scorching hot. I dug my nails into my palm. It hurt. This wasn't a dream. Wait, no. That wasn't right. I was already dead. Even if it wasn't a dream, I shouldn't be able to feel pain. Rita, a man's husky voice whispered in my ear. A shiver ran through my entire body. Not only was I reborn, but I was reborn into that fateful night. Rita, Sam gripped my chin and leaned in to kiss me passionately. I turned my face away, and his fiery breath landed on my neck instead. No, he wasn't calling me Rita. He was calling me Lisa. In my last life, I thought he had finally seen me and, overjoyed, spent a reckless night with him. Only later did I learn that Sam had always loved Lisa. He had drunk too much and mistaken me for her. Sam, snap out of it. I pushed him away with all my strength. I had secretly loved him for 10 years. After that night, though, he hated me for 10 more. Thankfully, this time, nothing had happened yet. Sam froze for a moment and looked down at me. The room was dark, but the city lights outside illuminated his face. He'd had too much to drink, but his pale complexion and steady gaze made him seem sober. So much so that, in my last life, I thought he really was. Rita? He must have finally seen my face clearly. There was a trace of surprise in his voice, but in the next second, his expression turned cloudy and conflicted. Suddenly, he cupped my face urgently and leaned in for another kiss. I brought my knee up and kicked him as hard as I could, shoving him away. Then I bolted out the door. Chapter 2. Breathing in the cold air outside, I pulled out my phone and checked the date and time repeatedly. Only then did I believe it. I really was reborn. I rushed home as memories from my past life flooded in. Sam and I had been childhood sweethearts. Our families were old friends. Tonight, Sam's mother had called me, saying that she couldn't reach him and asked me to check on him. I had always known the code to Sam's apartment. I opened the door easily and ran into a drunken man. I had loved Sam for years. Hearing him call out Rita again and again, I simply couldn't resist. I stayed the whole night. The next morning, my parents and Sam's parents showed up to find us lying on the same bed. Clothes were scattered everywhere. Our families, who had long wanted to match us up, finally got their wish. At the time, I was about to graduate from college, and talk of our marriage began. I was overjoyed back then. After secretly loving him for years, I had finally achieved my dream. It felt like I was walking on air. I thought Sam was happy too. He had always been cold and reserved, rarely showing his emotions, but he went with me to take wedding photos, pick out a diamond ring, and never said no. Until our wedding day, a beautifully dressed girl cried her heart out in the audience. Everyone thought Sam was kissing me, but he was actually gritting his teeth and whispering in my ear, "Rita, is this the result you wanted?" Chapter 3. Before this, I didn't even know Lisa. Sam was 2 years ahead of me in school. Although we lived in the same city, we attended different universities. I had never heard of him liking any girl, let alone being in a relationship. Sam gave me an unforgettable wedding night. He accused me of drugging him on that fateful night. He raged that everything was orchestrated, a deliberate setup. Rita, your malice is terrifying. Your so-called love is disgusting. You wanted so desperately to be with me. Fine, I'll grant you that wish. You destroyed my happiness for the rest of your life. Don't even think about being happy. He slammed the door and left, marking the start of a decade of bone-deep hatred toward me. Chapter 4. I slapped my cheeks hard and took a deep breath before going upstairs. Rita, you're back already? Is Sam okay? Hearing my mom's voice and seeing my dad sitting in the living room reading a book made my nose sting. This was perfect. Exactly how I remembered and missed it the most. After marrying Sam, I hadn't dared to come home for many years. Rita? I mumbled a vague and said, He's fine. He really was. On the way back, I called an ambulance for him. If there were drugs involved, or what kind of drugs, let the doctors figure that out. Rita, come here. What does this line say? Help Dad take a look. Suppressing the unease in my heart, I pretended everything was fine and spent a long time chatting and laughing with my parents before going back to my room. As soon as I entered, I saw the desk covered with photos. Photos of me and Sam growing up together. Opening the drawer, I found my diary lying there intact. The memory of Sam reading aloud every word of my love for him right in front of me was still vivid. And then, page by page, he ripped it apart. The secrets of a girl's heart were strewn like confetti, and he sat at this very desk with a mocking and disdainful expression. You wanted to claim me as yours since you were 10. Rita, you're a complete freak. Then again, the things you did, only a freak could do them. Chapter 5. What crime had I committed? Did I deserve for him to call a 10-year-old's innocent love perverted? It wasn't until Lisa was about to leave the country that I finally learned the whole story. In a private tea house, Lisa appeared elegant and composed, a stark contrast to the woman sobbing on her knees at my wedding. I'm getting married soon. Can we delete those videos now? I was utterly confused. She smiled and handed me her phone. On the screen was a chat log. The profile picture and username were mine. If you're smart, you'll leave Sam sooner rather than later. Sam and I have been childhood sweethearts, promised to each other since we were kids. Don't you have any shame? If you won't leave, that's fine too. I'll post the video on the school forum and let everyone see who truly belongs with Sam. Ruin myself? Does it matter? Without him, nothing else matters. I clicked on the video. It was from that chaotic, intoxicated night. Almost instinctively, I pulled out my own phone. Lisa's contact was indeed in my list, but our chat history was completely empty. Lisa smiled again. By the way, I was the one who kindly informed Sam's mom that he was drunk that night and needed someone to take care of him. Who would have thought Miss Rita would repay our kindness like this? Her words sounded accusatory, but her eyes were brimming with undisguised triumph. For Sam's reputation and future, I had no choice but to painfully break up with him. Rita, doesn't that make you happy? Her words and expression were so contradictory that I realized she was guarding against me recording her. But she couldn't resist flaunting her victory. She twisted the massive diamond ring on her middle finger repeatedly. As she prepared to leave, she finally lowered her voice and revealed her true colors. Sam's mom opposed me being with him. She looked down on me and insisted that you and Sam were the perfect match. But Lisa stood up and leaned close to my ear. Rita, you'll never have a happy life. Sam will never forget me in this lifetime. Chapter 6. Lisa was right. Sam and I never had a happy life together. I finally understood why he hated me so much. But that was 3 years ago. Over those 3 years, whatever we had between us had already fallen apart. 3 years ago, he didn't trust me. 3 years later, he didn't even want to hear my voice. I told him to let it go, but he refused. I asked for a divorce, but he wouldn't agree. He threatened my parents' company, determined to keep me tied to him, forcing me to endure a lifetime of his cold indifference. I thought that was it for us. From childhood sweethearts to sworn enemies, it was both tragic and laughable. But Lisa's second prediction was also correct. Sam could never forget her. In the 9th year of our marriage, Lisa returned home after her divorce. Sam and Lisa were openly seen together, holding hands and passionately kissing, captured by the media over and over again. How wonderful. At last, I could finally be free. I deliberately chose Lisa's birthday to call Sam. A divorce agreement. What better birthday gift could I give Lisa? But Sam was silent for a long time. Come over. Let's talk in person. Just when I thought he was about to refuse, he spoke. I glanced at the heavy snow falling outside. I have no other demands. All I want is my parents' company. As for what belongs to you, I won't take a penny more. After today, everything is off the table. Then he coldly hung up. I knew he no longer had even a shred of affection for me. I grabbed the divorce agreement and headed out. But the snow that day was overwhelming, so heavy that when I hit the brakes, the tires skidded. Ahead was an elementary school letting out. I jerked the wheel hard, and the car flipped. How unfair. Even in death, I was still Sam's wife. Chapter 7. Rita? My phone vibrated. I opened it to see a message from Sam. Had he gone to the hospital and sobered up? I didn't reply. I scrolled through my contacts list and, sure enough, Lisa was already in it. But I had no memory of adding her. Rita, where did you go? Another message from Sam popped up. I frowned. At this point, even though Sam's mother had tried to separate him and Lisa, they hadn't completely broken up yet. Why wasn't he looking for Lisa now that he was sober? Why was he looking for me? I exited the chat and noticed several unread messages. The new semester of my senior year had just started, and my grade group and class group chats were buzzing with activity. Nicole, Rita, have you packed your luggage? Don't be late tomorrow. I stared at the message for a few minutes before snapping out of it. In my past life, at this time, I had planned to go to Huai City with Nicole to look for a job, but then that incident happened, and I thought I was with Sam. Of course, I decided to stay in the city instead. The trip to Huai City was cancelled. I quickly replied to Nicole, how about we change our destination at the last minute? Nicole, ? Me, let's go to Beijing instead. Nicole, Beijing? Nicole was my best friend. I was still thinking about how to explain when her reply came. Beijing sounds amazing. I'll follow your lead unconditionally. I smiled. After some discussion, I got up and repacked my luggage. When I finished, I tossed the framed photos on my desk, the diary in my drawer, and even my SIM card into the trash. Chapter 8. I went to Beijing. No one knew except Nicole. Even my parents thought I had gone to Huai City. Lisa had made her move halfway through the game, but I didn't fall into the trap like I did in my previous life. I wasn't sure what other tricks she might pull. 10 years of entanglement. 10 years of love and hate. Whether it was Sam or Lisa, this time, I wanted nothing to do with either of them. But about a month after arriving in Beijing, Nicole leaned in with a mysterious smile. Word is, Sam's looking everywhere for you. He's practically turned Huai City upside down. He's looking for me? Why? I had shoved him with all my strength that night. His head hit the wall pretty hard. It probably left a mark. Could he be holding a grudge? Who cares? Once, I thought I understood him. Thought what we had was extraordinary. An illusion, like the moon reflected in water. A fragile facade. By the second month in Beijing, Nicole had successfully found a job, while I was still taking my time. Rita, you didn't just trick me into coming here while planning to leave Beijing yourself, did you? Of course not. In the third month, the opportunity I'd been waiting for finally arrived. A junior from high school contacted me, saying he had a project that needed funding and asked if I was interested in investing. In my previous life, at this time, I was busy preparing to marry Sam. When I heard about the project in Beijing, I declined outright. That junior later became wildly successful. In just 10 years, he built a business empire from scratch, worth billions. This time, I wouldn't let the chance slip away. Chapter 9. I gathered all the money I could, even borrowed some from my parents, and joined Diego's team. In my previous life, one of my biggest mistakes was giving up my career after getting married. Sam had already spoken so harshly, yet I still held on to hope. I thought there was just a misunderstanding between us, that as long as I worked hard enough, the bond we shared since childhood would overcome anything. By the time I woke up to reality 2 years later, not only did I have no place in his company, but even my parents' small business was out of my reach. Rita, how does this look on me? There was an industry gathering tonight, and Diego was trying on suits. I gave him a speechless glance. In 2 lifetimes, I've heard people call me Rita, and those younger than me call me Sister Rita. But Diego? He insists on calling me Little Rita. You look like a waiter. Diego went to change. Your legs look short. Diego went to change again. Too old-fashioned. Diego continued to change. By the 5th outfit, I couldn't hold back my laughter anymore. I decided to stop teasing him. It's perfect. Very handsome. You'll outshine everyone. Diego, looking quite pleased with himself, raised his chin and went to pay. Honestly, it's no wonder he'll succeed. He's smart, easygoing, and never acts condescending. Being around him feels as refreshing as a spring breeze. In the car, we went over the guest list for the evening one more time. For a startup, connections are everything. These gatherings are golden opportunities to expand your network. What I didn't expect was to run into Sam there. Chapter 10. It had been 6 months since I moved to Beijing. 6 months since my rebirth. After reconnecting with Diego, I deactivated all my social media accounts and stopped contacting my old friends. Of course, I didn't return to my hometown either. Even my graduation formalities were handled through Nicole. In truth, I spotted Sam almost as soon as I entered. He was standing with Lisa, an attractive, well-matched couple. "Do you know him?" Diego asked me quietly. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. I was just surprised. Sam's family had always been in manufacturing. In my previous life, they never ventured into the gaming industry. Sam had no reason to be here, but what happened next was even more unexpected. Sam must have sensed our gaze. He looked up in our direction. Amidst the glamorous crowd, our eyes met from across the room. Suddenly, his eyes turned red. "Rita." Almost immediately, he pulled his arm out of Lisa's grasp and strode toward me. Chapter 11. I didn't understand why he was so emotionally charged. He had always been cold and detached. The only time he showed any unrestrained emotion was when he curled his lips in mockery, openly displaying his contempt for me. As Sam approached, he reached out to grab my hand. Instinctively, I took 2 steps back, just as Diego stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of me. "And who might you be?" It was only then that Sam seemed to notice Diego. He glanced at him, then at me, moving his lips slightly but saying nothing. "Sam." Lisa quickly followed him, grabbing hold of his arm again. Is that Rita?" "Yes, right." "Sam?" Lisa looked excited. "She's so beautiful." "Sam, more stunning than the photos on your phone." "Hello, Rita. I'm Lisa." She extended her hand toward me, smiling with feigned sincerity. "Our names are quite similar. Sam talks about you often." I glanced briefly at her still unadorned fingers. I wasn't particularly inclined to shake her hand. "It's been a while." I smiled at Sam before introducing the man beside me. "This is Diego, founder of Bloom Games." "Diego. This is Mr. Sam from Funyu Group." Lisa's hand hung awkwardly in the air before she pulled it back, visibly upset. Neither of the 2 men made any move to shake hands. Either. Diego, ever perceptive, likely caught onto the tension in the air. With a sly smile, he asked, "Is that all there is to it?" Sam and I are alumni." I cut him off with a cheerful smile. "In fact, Diego, you could join me in calling him senior." Sam's expression darkened noticeably. It was plainly visible. His mood was sinking fast. He stared at me unblinkingly. "Alumni? Senior?" He let out a soft, derisive laugh. Chapter 12. Your senior seems a little unwell, doesn't he? Diego scoffed softly while pouring me a drink. He's got his girlfriend by his side but keeps glaring at me, like I stole his wife or something. I glanced at Sam. Sure enough, he was leaning in the lounge area, swirling his glass and staring at us from afar. After that brief confrontation earlier, I quickly took Diego away. The people we needed to connect with tonight were clearly not Sam. There was no point wasting time on him. Well, maybe I should steal his wife for real. Diego casually slid his arm around my waist. Me? Sam's gaze sharpened instantly. He put down his glass and started to rise, only to be stopped by Lisa. She tugged at his sleeve, tilting her head to say something to him. Sam's expression softened. He pulled a tissue from the table and gently wiped the corner of her mouth. Diego muttered under his breath, eating from one bowl while eyeing another. What a dog. Me? That over there looks like the CEO of Bronze World Gaming. Let's go introduce ourselves. I pulled Diego toward the other side of the room. For the rest of the evening, Sam didn't come near us again. He and Lisa left the event early. But some things are inevitable. When I returned home that night, Sam was waiting at the entrance of the apartment building Nicole and I had rented. Chapter 13. Autumn comes early in Beijing. By late August, the night air carried a cool breeze. Sam was leaning against the corner of the wall, a cigarette between his fingers. The ember flickered on and off in the wind. I lowered my head to send Nicole a text, then walked straight toward him. Not avoiding me anymore? Sam's voice was a little hoarse. I wasn't avoiding you. It was the truth. I simply didn't feel like dealing with him, but I wasn't deliberately hiding from him. Why are you looking for me? I asked. Sam's hand holding the cigarette paused slightly before he stubbed it out against the wall. He straightened up and started moving toward me. I instinctively took a step back. Let's talk in the car. Sam's car was parked downstairs. I had already noticed it when I got out of Diego's car. I deliberately avoided sitting in the girlfriend's seat in the front and opened the rear door instead. When Sam saw me sitting in the back, he shut the driver's door, which he had opened halfway, and joined me in the back seat. I slid closer to the door, putting more distance between us. The car's interior wasn't cramped, yet the atmosphere felt suffocating. After a long silence, Sam sighed. Rita, I went to your house. Your parents wouldn't tell me where you went. I went to your room. And you threw away all our photos? And the journals in your desk, I remember you had so many of them. Did you throw those away too? I let out a soft laugh, turning my head. I locked eyes with Sam. Do you really not know why I threw them away? Chapter 14. Getting a second chance, I thought it was heaven's favor toward me. But it turns out I wasn't the only one heaven favored. I'm ashamed to admit that even after 10 years, I still remember what Sam was like at 23. The 23-year-old Sam didn't like wearing suits. Even if he did, he would choose something trendy, like ash gray. The 23-year-old Sam didn't like wine. He preferred flashy, stimulating cocktails. The 23-year-old Sam didn't smoke. The 23-year-old Sam was cold and quiet, yet bold and rebellious. I once loved him so passionately that even our brief exchange at the banquet was enough for me to recognize him. But the man before me wasn't the 23-year-old Sam. Sam was looking at me too. The car lights weren't on. Only the streetlights cast faint shadows inside. In the dim light, I saw the emotions in his eyes shift: surprise, pain, joy, regret, all blended together, making it impossible for me to discern them clearly. Of course, I didn't want to see them clearly either. Rita, so you really... Please don't call me that. I met his gaze coldly. Mr. Sam, our relationship now only warrants the term alumni and senior. Sam's eyes reddened suddenly, just as they had when he first saw me. Chapter 15. Rita, I know you're hurt. That snowstorm, I was so blinded by anger that I insisted you come to talk in person. I didn't really mean to. Don't bring up the past. I interrupted him. Sam, it wasn't easy getting a second chance. From now on, let's go our separate ways. You can marry the one you love, and I'll walk my own path. Please don't come looking for me again. Rita, don't say that in anger. Sam grabbed my hand. You said it yourself. It wasn't easy to start over. You used to always ask me to let it go. In our last life, you owed me once, and I owed you once. Now we're even. This time, you've turned back from the wrong path. And what did you just say? I almost doubted my ears. Turned back from the wrong path? Rita, I was happy you called me an ambulance. Sam tilted his chin slightly, his gaze fixed on my face. He looked sincere and composed. Our bond since childhood shouldn't have been tainted by such despicable means. That's enough. I shook off his hand. Sam, you're just hopeless. I got out of the car and slammed the door shut behind me. Chapter 16. I never expected Sam to learn the truth. After I died, my soul drifted for a while. Though I floated in and out of consciousness, I saw it with my own eyes. Sam proposed to Lisa. The diamond ring was even bigger than the one I had worn, and the scene was far grander than our wedding. It was at that moment that my soul finally dissolved completely. Sam truly loved Lisa. How could he ever bear to doubt her? But what I didn't expect was that when I pushed him away, his only reaction would be to call it my return from the wrong path. What a return from the wrong path. I had spent years telling him I didn't do it. And yet, given another chance, he still chose not to believe me. Not a single word. My phone vibrated. Diego had sent me a link. The latest beta version is out. Get in. Me, on it. I must be crazy. Spending even one more minute thinking about this was disrespectful to 100 billion. Chapter 17. But clearly, I wasn't the only one eyeing those billions. Over the next decade, traditional industries would decline while the gaming industry would skyrocket, especially mobile games, which, with the advancement of smartphones, would rise to dominance. As someone who's lived through it once, it's no surprise that Sam would set his sights on this lucrative field. So, I often coincidentally ran into Sam in Beijing. He didn't cause me any trouble, but somehow, he'd gotten hold of my phone number and occasionally sent me messages. Like now, stay away from Diego. He doesn't have good intentions toward you. Diego, sitting right beside me, glanced at the message and snorted coldly. Now he wants to play the good guy? He shifted closer, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. This was a promotional event for a new mobile game, with plenty of investors in attendance. I elbowed Diego. Instead of moving away, he leaned closer to my ear. Little Rita, why don't we just get together for real and drive him crazy? Me? Stop acting like a child. Who's acting like a child? I'm an adult, Before he could finish, a strong hand yanked him aside and pulled me up. I was dragged out of the room without warning. Chapter 18. Lisa, have you completely stopped listening to what I say? Sam looked furious, even angrier than when he tore up my diary all those years ago, but he quickly calmed down. The way he looked at me was a mix of helplessness and sorrow. Rita, he placed his hands on my shoulders. I know you resent me for using your parents' company to pressure you. Now, I just want to build something of my own. The gaming company I'm working for is almost ready. When it's done, I'll hand it over to you to manage, okay? Quit your job at Bloom Games. The villa in Longchamp is ready. Everything is prepared according to your preferences. Rita, let's not miss out on each other again in this lifetime. It took me a moment to process what he was saying. Was he thinking about reconciling with me? The mockery in my eyes must have been too obvious because Sam's expression shifted slightly. His emotions restrained. He sighed. Rita, I know you're still angry with me. You don't know what happened after you passed away. Sam reached out to touch my cheek, his eyes beginning to redden again. Can't you give me some more time? Just a little more time, until I take care of things. After all, we owe Lisa. Despite all my mental preparation, I couldn't help but laugh when I heard his last words. Yes, we owe Lisa. We owe her so much. I brushed Sam's hand away and looked him in the eye. Then go repay her. Use your entire lifetime, even eternity, to repay her, and never look back. Rita. I turned and walked away. Rita, just wait. Behind me, Sam called out with conviction. I'll give you an answer. Chapter 19. Sam didn't show up again. Nicole said he had taken Lisa on a world tour. Lisa's social media was filled with daily photo collages, and she looked incredibly happy. As long as they stayed out of Beijing, I was more than glad to have peace and quiet. After more than half a year of effort, our first mobile game was finally complete. To be honest, this was the first time in 2 lifetimes that I'd focused so wholeheartedly on something. Diego, who usually seemed unserious, was astonishingly diligent when it came to work. The entire Bloom Games team was young and full of energy. Being around them often made me feel like I was just a freshly graduated college student, as if I hadn't lived through a decade of hardships. Rita, try it again and make sure this version is actually fun, okay? I had to admit, young people have endless creativity. At the company, I now had a variety of nicknames. It's pretty fun, I said sincerely with a nod. Truthfully, I wasn't much of a gamer before Diego had pulled me into this world. I added a few more skins. Let's use this version for today's meeting with the platform. After uploading the final version, the junior designer patted my shoulder. Rita, good luck. Today, I was bringing the game to the platform team for integration. If all went well, the game would be launched soon. Grabbing my laptop, I texted Diego. For something this important, he obviously needed to be there too. But since he was still a student, we agreed to meet at the platform company's entrance. The psychological shadow of the car accident still lingered, so I didn't drive. Sitting on the subway, I felt a bit nervous. I only knew that Bloom Games eventually became one of the top mobile gaming giants. rivaling the likes of Tencent. But whether its start had been smooth, I had no idea. This was the result of half a year of hard work from the entire team. Of course, I hoped it would be an instant hit. What I didn't expect was that before I could even reach the destination, just as I exited the subway station, I ran into an obstacle. Chapter 20. Sam's gaming company, Lisa was involved in it too. In this industry, there are only so many platforms. It wasn't hard for her to figure out my schedule. She didn't look as carefree as Nicole had described. At the very least, she seemed far less confident than when she once flaunted her diamond ring in front of me. I glanced at her briefly before looking away, not intending to engage, but she clearly came for me. Rita, you won. Are you happy now? I had no idea what she was talking about. I quickened my pace, but she followed closely behind. Rita, what makes you better than me? You're just from an average family. Your parents run some lousy small business. You've only gotten ahead because you've known Sam a few years longer and have been chasing after him like a simp the whole time. Rita, are you playing hard to get with Sam now? I glanced at my watch, not bothering to reply. Sam's parents are completely charmed by you. They only see you. Now even Sam's siding with you. Lisa suddenly grabbed my wrist. Rita, stop pretending to be so aloof and righteous. Do you think I don't see through your feelings for Sam? We're not that close, I said coldly, shaking off her grip. Whatever issues you have with Sam, take it up with him directly. Oh, we're not close? But you're close to Sam. Is that it? I dated Sam first. You're the third party. I bit my lip, refusing to argue with her. Just one more street to cross, and Diego would be waiting for me. But Lisa clung to me, crying. Rita, Sam wants to break up with me, no matter how much I beg him. He's determined to end things. He loved me so much. He called me gentle, kind. He bought me a house, a car. He even took me on a world tour. He said he wanted to marry me, and now he says all of this was just to compensate me. Rita, please. I can't live without him. Lisa already looked haggard, and her tears only made her appear more pitiful. During rush hour, passers-by avoided us. Walking around, I was irritated but couldn't leave since the light was still red. I had no choice but to endure it. Lisa grabbed at my laptop bag. Rita, if you don't care about Sam, then just make things clear to him. There was something important in the bag. I instinctively stepped back to protect it. Lisa suddenly seized on this reaction as if she'd found leverage. You'll never get rid of me. That tone, it was so familiar. I could almost see the smug smile forming at the corner of her lips. She yanked hard on my laptop bag. As I pulled back, she let go suddenly, staggering backward. A deafening screech of brakes followed by a loud thud. Chapter 21. How could I forget? Lisa is a gambler. In my previous life, she used clumsy tricks to bet on Sam's trust. She let one lie stand between me and Sam for 10 whole years. This time, she gambled herself as the stake, betting on Sam's conscience. And Sam, he's always had a conscience. For her. But this time, her calculation might not go as planned. Chapter 22. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I stood by Lisa's hospital bed and said, I shouldn't have argued with her by the roadside. I shouldn't have held onto the laptop when she grabbed it. Oh, but she wasn't trying to grab the laptop. She was just emotional and held onto my hand while talking. Diego nudged me in annoyance with his elbow. Lisa had been hit by a car. Luckily, it was near a red light, and we weren't on the main road when it happened. The car had slowed down. The driver managed to brake in time, and Lisa only suffered a broken rib and a fractured leg. The surveillance footage wasn't clear. It only showed that she and I had been in a conflict. It didn't clearly establish who was at fault. But Diego, who had been standing across the street, saw everything clearly, which is why he was unhappy with my apology. He didn't understand. To Sam, explanations are just excuses. He only ever believes what he wants to believe. 10 years were enough to teach me that lesson. As expected, the moment I apologized, Lisa's teary-eyed, pitiful expression froze, and the words on Sam's lips stopped short. Since Lisa got hurt because of me, why don't I help you take care of her for a while? I turned my head toward Sam. On our way out, Diego's dissatisfaction only grew. Have you lost your mind? She timed it perfectly to fall backward. What does that have to do with you? She clearly just wants to cling to Sam. Why not let them be two peas in a pod? Lock them together for good. I glanced at my wrist. Still red from Lisa's grip. Do you remember the last time we played that game? The annoying player who kept bothering us? We beat them up. They ran away. And then, at a critical moment, they popped up again to mess with us. What did you say about dealing with people like that? Diego said. Use the ultimate move. Take them out for good. I nodded. Use the ultimate move. Take them out for good. Chapter 23. I was doing my job well. 8 to 5. More punctual than a regular workday. For the first time, I understood the thrill Lisa must have felt doing all those things. It turns out that making someone you dislike unhappy can be so satisfying. Sam. My leg hurts so much. Sam was about to get up. I stopped him. She's crying from the pain. Should we call the doctor? Sam nodded and called the doctor. Sam. I'm so thirsty. Sam got up. I stopped him again. The nurse is meticulous. Let her handle it. Sam. Lying here is so boring. Could you read me a book? I got up. I'll do it. This is the kind of thing I can handle. After a few rounds of this, Sam finally realized I was doing it on purpose. And yet, he seemed somewhat pleased. Rita, I told you I'd give you an answer. I've already broken up with Lisa. When she's discharged, I'll give her a compensation payment, and we'll be done for good. Occasionally, when it was just the two of us in the hospital room, he would look at me with those joy-filled eyes. And then we'll go home together. Do you want to live in Longchamp or Pingyuan? I've already planned the wedding. This time, I interrupted him, raising my eyes. How much compensation are you planning to give her? 10 million. After all, it was our fault. The doctor said her leg. 10 million. I curled my lips into a faint smile. Sounds good. Diego sometimes dropped by too, under the guise of work. He didn't say much. Instead, he'd bury himself in his phone, sending me messages, with all this familial harmony. What's your plan here? I replied, the calm always comes before the storm. Chapter 24. It wasn't really a big move. The closer Lisa's discharge date got, the more restless she became. I knew her original plan. Aside from Diego, who had seen it with his own eyes, no one would believe someone would gamble with their own life. So, just like in my previous life, I became her scapegoat. And just like before, Sam and I would argue because of her. The difference this time was that she wouldn't leave. She would take advantage of Sam's lingering affection and guilt, demanding whatever she wanted without shame. Perhaps she even hoped to end up with some permanent disability, giving her more reason to make Sam feel indebted to her for the rest of his life. But I wasn't angry. Before Sam even had a chance to ask, I apologized voluntarily. I didn't argue with Sam either. In fact, I laughed and joked with him in front of her, playing the part of a couple growing closer. It threw her off balance. She began to worry that once she was discharged, she'd be abandoned. I almost wanted to comfort her. After all, wasn't there still the 10 million? Sam truly loved her, didn't he? Of course. Whether she could get that money depended on her ability. 3 days before Lisa's discharge, Sam's face lit up with joy as he started discussing curtain colors for the house with me. Sam, I'm not going back with you. I put down my breakfast and looked at him calmly. I won't marry you again. I won't love you again. I don't even want to see you again. Do you know why? Sam, looking dazed, followed me back to the hospital room. I called out to him again, Brother Sam. Yes, that's how I used to call him when we were kids. And in these past few days, I'd started calling him that in front of Lisa too. It was a nickname far more irritating than her simple Sam. Auntie called and said there was a break-in at your apartment. Let's go check it out. At the word go, Sam's eyes lit up immediately. But how could Lisa possibly agree? She hadn't even been discharged yet. Sam hadn't mentioned the compensation either. If I took Sam away, she might end up with nothing, neither the man nor the money. Brother Sam, are we going or not? I tilted my head, looking at him. If we don't go today, we'll never go back. Sam reached out to take my hand. Well, we don't really need to go back. Sam, Your apartment has surveillance cameras, doesn't it? Lisa hastily sat up, asking the nurse to fetch her laptop. Sam, I forgot to tell you before, but I was worried about break-ins, so I installed surveillance cameras in the apartment a long time ago. We can just check the footage on my computer to see how everything is. I watched as Sam's face turned white. Inch by inch, he stared at Lisa in disbelief. What did you say? Who installed the surveillance cameras? Lisa didn't notice his expression and continued. I installed them last year. The footage is connected to my laptop. We can watch it right now. I turned to Diego, who had come to watch the drama unfold. Diego, I suddenly can't remember our game accounts, usernames, and avatars unique. Diego replied, of course not. So, creating a new account with the same username and avatar is pretty easy, right? Absolutely. I remember that's how WeChat works too, isn't it? That's correct. All right, Diego, let's go. See? It's just that simple. So simple, it's almost pathetic. Chapter 25. Sam appeared before me again a week later. In those 7 days, it was as if he had aged 7 years. He looked alarmingly thin, unshaven, and disheveled. It was raining. He stood in the drizzle, head lowered, his clothes soaked through. He seemed surprised that I came downstairs so quickly. When he saw me, shock flashed in his eyes, quickly replaced by a maddened guilt. I'm sorry. The apology, 10 years too late, finally fell from his lips. I'm sorry, Rita. He trembled as he hugged me, his scalding tears dripping onto my collar. I'm sorry, Rita, for all those years, all those times. His voice choked, unable to go on. It's all in the past. I said, no, it's my fault. It's all my fault. Rita, he held me tighter. Please, accept my apology. Please. I shook my head. Sam, it's too late. Sam suddenly broke into sobs. But I love you. I love you. Rita, it wasn't until you were gone that I realized how much I love you. I continued shaking my head, pushing him away. I stepped back and looked up at him. Sam, think carefully. Is that really love? Sam, you've had it too easy all your life. You've always gotten what you wanted. Always had your way. Think carefully. Is it me you love? Or the idea of not being able to have me? Sam didn't hesitate. It's you. I love you. Rita, I've thought it through so clearly this time. But I don't love you anymore. I looked at him. Sam, I will never marry you again. Never love you again. And I don't even want to see you again. This isn't a joke. And it's not out of anger. Do you still want to treat my words like you did 10 years ago? As if nothing I say is true? Sam staggered, his face draining of color bit by bit. Go home. You'll catch a cold. And Auntie will worry about you. I averted my gaze, turned around. Before I reached the end of the alley, I heard sobbing from behind me. Chapter 26. I didn't want to see Sam in such a pitiful state. More than anyone, I wanted to see the 23-year-old Sam, the Sam I had once loved so deeply, the one whose eyes still sparkled with light. But life often doesn't go the way we hope. 10 years ago, if I had heard him say those words, I would have been so happy I'd have jumped up and probably stayed awake all night. Now, 10 years later, I simply listened indifferently. Then I went back to my room, played a game, and went to sleep. Sam fell ill after all. Sam's parents called me repeatedly, saying he was burning up and delirious, calling my name over and over again. Even my mom called me, sighing deeply. You said Sam had a girlfriend, and you didn't want to make things hard for yourself. So we kept your move to Beijing a secret. And now it's come to this? I heard he broke up with that girlfriend. Rita, didn't you love Sam the most? How about, Mom? It's all in the past. One of my greatest mistakes in my previous life was keeping the truth about my falling out with Sam hidden from my family. At first, it was because I still had hope, thinking there was room for reconciliation. Later, it was because of my dad's poor health. Sam had always been the son-in-law he was most proud of, and I couldn't bring myself to tell them. It wasn't until I saw my parents bury their child that I realized. What son-in-law? What company? Nothing is more important than their beloved daughter. So, at the very start of this life, I was honest about how I felt. And as expected, both mom and dad supported me wholeheartedly. They just wanted me to be happy. Sam was sick for over a month. His mom begged me to talk to him. For all those 10 years, his parents had been kind to me, so I didn't refuse. On the phone, Sam cried softly. Sam, I said gently, don't dwell on it too much. The ending in our last life. I was at fault too. I was wrong for not loving myself before loving someone else. I was wrong for repeatedly ignoring the lifelines right beside me. I was wrong for giving up the whole world for one man. In an avalanche, no single snowflake is innocent. A ridiculous lie created a 10-year tragedy, and I couldn't escape blame. But if I was wrong, I would change. Chapter 27. After recovering from his illness, Sam took Lisa to court. He had always firmly believed that his change of heart had wronged Lisa. Before their breakup, he gave her significant material compensation. Now, he seemed to think differently and wanted to take it all back. I didn't pay much attention to it. Our first game had launched. It received rave reviews, and its revenue kept climbing. Every morning, I woke up to check the numbers. Every night, I went to bed thinking about new game ideas. Occasionally, I'd see someone playing our game on the subway, and that would keep me smiling for half the day. See? Life holds so many sources of joy, love isn't the only one. When our second game launched, it shot straight to the top of the download charts on the first day. That sense of fulfillment was so overwhelming that it made the entire world seem brighter. I put down roots in Beijing and brought my parents to live with me. My life diverged further and further from its original path. Sam didn't disappear from my world right away. For a while, he followed me around. He didn't try to talk to me, just silently followed me to and from work. It seemed his court battle with Lisa had ended. Nicole told me that Lisa didn't get much money. Her leg from the car accident had indeed been left permanently damaged, but her request for compensation was denied by the court. But once he was done with Lisa, he came to pester me, which wasn't exactly enjoyable. Most of the time, I ignored him. The streets didn't belong to me, so he could walk wherever he wanted. Occasionally, when I was in a bad mood, I'd turn around and snap at him. Sam, is this why you came back, to follow me around? He actually answered, yes. That ended any desire I had to keep talking to him. The last time I saw him was on another rainy day. In late autumn, the rain was fine and icy, like needles. Not wanting him to fall ill again and have his mom bombard me with phone calls, I bought him an umbrella. He was leaning against the corner of the alley when he suddenly asked me, Rita, for the way I treated you in the past, do you think I was cruel? And now, saying I like you, does it disgust you? I ruined your happiness. For a moment, I felt like I was back in that year, on our wedding night, at this same age, in this same season, in the midst of a room full of festive red decorations. He had stood there, coldly berating me. Rita, your cruelty is chilling. Your so-called love is disgusting. You wanted so badly to be with me, fine. I'll grant your wish. You ruined my happiness. And for that, you'll never have happiness in this life. Yes, I said, tilting my head back as the fine rain fell into my eyes. Sam, your cruelty is chilling. Your so-called love is disgusting. You ruined my happiness. And for that, I paused, meeting his gaze. Sam, I hope you can find happiness. His body trembled violently, his entire back hunching over as if he'd been crushed. That was the last time I saw him. Another year passed quickly. I remembered that in my previous life. This was the year Lisa left the country to marry someone else. Before leaving, she had deliberately flaunted her victory to me. Guess who I just saw? She was so haggard I barely recognized her. I only realized it was Lisa when I noticed her limp. She's fallen so far she's working as a waitress at a little diner. What are you looking at? I closed Nicole's text and put my phone away. Nothing. Don't tell me you've secretly found a new romance? Diego struck a dramatic pose, propping his face up with one hand. Look at the weather today. It's so nice. Should we take our online romance offline? I looked at him in exasperation. Diego. He raised both hands in mock surrender. All right. I get it. No man can compare to the joy of making money. Let's go, he said, stepping on the gas. I'll take you to make your first billion. I couldn't help but laugh. Spring was in full bloom, and the sun was shining brightly. Life is full of choices. This time, I won't choose wrong. Sam's side story. Chapter 1. When I received the call from the police, I momentarily went deaf. The sharp ringing in my ears felt like it was piercing my brain. By the time I came back to my senses, the officer was shouting through the phone, Mr. Sam, are you all right? Please, calm yourself before coming to claim your wife's body. Chapter 2. Rita was dead, because I had insisted she come in person, on a snowy day, to talk about the divorce. Lisa kept consoling me. It wasn't your fault. She wasn't driving carefully. How could you blame yourself? But I knew. It was my fault. Chapter 3. Rita and I weren't always like this. Growing up, she was gentle and obedient, always quietly staying by my side. Sam, can you make a little bunny for me? Sam, can you help me with this problem? Sam, can you wait for me to walk home together after school? We had a great relationship. My phone was filled with pictures of her. Every time I saw her name in a book, I would instinctively circle it. It felt so familiar. Chapter 4. I met Lisa in college. She was surrounded by a group of thugs when I stepped in to help her. After that, she started showing up around me, quietly, much like Rita. She had seen pictures of Rita on my phone. She's so beautiful. Is she your girlfriend? Without hesitation, I answered, no, she's my little sister. Chapter 5. I always thought I only saw Rita as a little sister. Every time my family brought up the idea of me marrying her, I felt irritated. Who marries their own sister? Being told how my life should go from the start had sparked a rebellious streak in me. So when Lisa cried, saying my mother had asked her to leave, I held her and said, I'll marry you. You're the only one I want to marry. Chapter 6. When did things start to change? I suppose even I don't know. When Rita showed me those chat logs, my explosive anger was only because she had tried to force me to break up with Lisa. Wasn't it? It wasn't because of what she said. If I can't have him, no one else can. When I cooperated and went through with the wedding, wasn't it just because I was angry and had decided to torment her for the rest of her life? It wasn't because I didn't truly mind her being my wife. Was it? I started realizing these things after Lisa returned to the country following her divorce. I overheard her crying to a friend on the phone. I knew it. He never really loved me. She told me. He doesn't even touch me. Do you know? Even when we were dating, he never touched me. The one he loves has always been Rita. Otherwise, in this day and age, who marries someone just because they slept together once? Chapter 7. That was a call from Rita, 3 days before she asked me for a divorce. By then, I had already begun to feel that something was off. Over the years, we had argued constantly. At first, it was about her disgraceful behavior, which she adamantly denied. But I had seen the chat logs. The video angle was from the surveillance camera in our apartment. Only 3 people knew the password to the apartment: Rita, me, and Lisa. In the 3rd year of our marriage, one day she suddenly asked me, "Why don't you suspect Lisa in all of this?" I found it laughable. What would Lisa gain from doing something like that? Lisa had been driven to break up with me because of Rita's threats. After the breakup, she fell into depression and attempted suicide multiple times. She had no motive to do such a thing. Rita never brought it up again. Later, we argued over trivial matters. Lisa's marriage wasn't a happy one. She often called me long distance, crying to me about her life. If it weren't for Rita's actions back then, Lisa wouldn't have ended up like this. Every time I thought about it, I couldn't bring myself to speak to Rita calmly. The one sweet, bunny-like girl I knew, how could she hide such a different face behind the scenes? Before Lisa came back, Rita and I were still fighting. That time, it was because I found her birth control pills. She didn't care about my future. She didn't care about my feelings. She didn't even want to have a child with me. Those diary entries, so it wasn't love at all. It was obsessive possessiveness. We fought like this for years. Then Lisa came back. I thought I would be happy. But when I was truly with Lisa, just as Rita had said, I didn't even want to touch her. Chapter 8. Had I always loved Rita? I thought about how steady and secure I felt when I held her in my arms after waking at night. I thought about the quiet comfort I felt every time I came home and saw her peacefully waiting there. I thought about how often her face would flash in my mind when I was with Lisa. I realized I had always loved Rita. But now, she wanted a divorce. Her tone was so calm, so certain that I would agree. Come over. Let's talk about this in person, I said. There was no way I would agree to divorce her. She sighed. I don't want anything else. I only want my parents' company. As for what's yours, I won't take a cent. To leave me. She was even willing to give up her share of the family assets. Anger surged in my chest. After today, everything is off the table, I said. And with that one sentence, she died on the snowy road. Chapter 9. No, it couldn't be. It was impossible that I loved Rita. If I loved her, how could I have treated her with such hostility for 10 years? If I loved her, how could I have been the one to drive her to her death? The one I loved was Lisa. The whole world knew that I loved Lisa. I defied my family for Lisa. I coldly ignored my own wife for Lisa. I chose not to have children for Lisa. I pretended as if everything was fine. I didn't even attend Rita's funeral. I continued appearing in public with Lisa, proposed to her, and planned a grand wedding. I told myself I loved Lisa. But when Lisa put on her wedding dress and smiled at me, I hugged her with joy and said, Rita, you're back. The night before the wedding, I completely broke down. Chapter 10. Everywhere I looked, I saw Rita's shadow. She had grown up with me, except for the years in college. I had never been apart from her for more than 3 days. I could remember every expression on her face at every age. I thought of every harsh word I had said to her during those 10 years. Why did I treat her like that? It was just a video, just a few cruel words. She was 2 years younger than me. Just a young girl who made a mistake. Why did I hold on to it for 10 years, refusing to let go? The cruel one. It was me. I wandered through the city like a walking corpse. Self-blame and regret consumed me, gnawing at my bones day and night like a poison. Lisa came crying to me again. She said, Are you not going to marry me? Everyone knows I'm supposed to marry you. Are you really not going to marry me? You said it yourself. You said you loved me, that you wanted to marry me. All I could do was apologize to her. If there's a next life, I'll repay everything I owe you then. If only there were a next life. I'd give up 3 lifetimes in exchange for one chance to start over. I don't know how much time passed, but it started snowing again. I lay down on the freezing tracks, staring calmly at the sky as the train roared closer. The snowflakes fell like feathers, just like they did the day Rita died. It must have been this cold that day too. If I could do it all over again, I would love her properly. If I could do it all over again, I would make up for every regret. What I didn't know then was that I really would get another chance, but it would only lead to an even greater mistake.